SDG 13, the Big Questions. Where did it begin? Climate change started with rising temperatures and sea levels, showing how human activity impacts our climate over time.
Right, I heard the Earth's average surface temperature has increased by about 0.85 degrees Celsius in the last century.
Exactly. And 13 of the 14 warmest years on record have all been in the 21st century, with 2016 being the warmest.
That's alarming.
I guess burning fossil fuels really contributes to this problem.
Yes, burning coal, oil, and natural gas has increased CO2 concentration in our atmosphere.
And I read that deforestation reduces the amount of CO2 we can absorb, right?
That's true. Greenhouse gases from both natural and man-made sources trap solar radiation, warming our planet.
What about the Arctic ice? I heard we've lost about 13.3% of it between 1981 and 2010.
Yes, and that ice is crucial for vulnerable ecosystems and helps regulate global temperatures by reflecting sunlight.
So, melting ice caps raise global sea levels and affect coastal areas, right?
Exactly. International political responses began at the Rio Earth Summit in 1992 to tackle human-created climate interference.
And the Paris Agreement was signed on Earth Day in 2016, aiming to reduce climate change, correct?
Yes. It was a significant step towards a low-carbon future, with 175 countries committing to emission reduction targets. Why does this issue matter? Climate change affects our food security and access to fresh water as well.
Right. Drought can lead to loss of agricultural land, making it harder to feed everyone.
And let's not forget about health and sanitation. Climate change impacts those too.
Exactly. Plus, natural disasters are becoming more frequent, threatening cities and populations.
It's frustrating because the countries most affected often contribute the least to the problem.
Yes, pollution travels across borders, impacting those who are least responsible.
It's our mess to clean up. Human activities like fossil fuel combustion are major contributors to CO2 emissions.
Changing our emissions will require collective action and commitment to renewable resources.
And protecting forests is crucial since they act as natural air filters, capturing CO2.
It's clear that tackling climate change is essential for sustainable development.
Increased extreme weather events make securing basic necessities like water and food even harder.
And poorer countries are often the most vulnerable, facing the biggest challenges.
Climate action is interconnected with every other goal we have for a sustainable future. Who and what are affected? Rising sea levels are a huge problem.
By the 2080s, we could see 55 million people flooded annually in South Asia alone.
That's a staggering number. And it's not just South Asia, Southeast Asia and the Philippines are also at risk.
Right, around 21 million people in those regions could be affected, along with millions more in Africa and other parts of the world.
And then there are farmers, who are facing their own set of challenges due to climate change.
Exactly. Droughts, flooding, and high temperatures are making agriculture one of the most vulnerable sectors.
It's crucial for farmers to build resilience, especially since many countries rely heavily on agriculture for their GDP.
And let's not forget about vulnerable populations. Those living in poverty are often hit the hardest by natural disasters.
Yes, they usually live in hazardous areas and lack the resources to cope with extreme weather events.
Gender plays a role too. Women often bear the brunt of water scarcity and food insecurity caused by climate change.
It's a complex issue that affects so many people differently, and awareness is key.
Definitely. Understanding these impacts can help us all grasp the urgency of addressing climate change. What needs to be done?
Have you ever thought about the real impact of climate change on our world?
Absolutely, it's a massive issue that requires comprehensive solutions, not just a single act.
Right. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is crucial, and it requires changes to our social, economic, and political systems.
Exactly. Policies and collaborative actions are necessary to lower our global energy consumption and curb fossil fuel use.
Did you know that raising taxes on fuel while lowering other taxes can shift public perception about consumption?
That's a smart approach. Governments must also commit to international agreements to see real change in emissions.
Many countries have signed several environmental agreements, but there's still much work ahead.
Transportation improvements are vital too, as they significantly impact carbon emissions.
Connecting urban centers better can help minimize unnecessary CO2 emissions.
And developing renewable resources like wind and solar energy can reduce our reliance on coal and fossil fuels.
Many business leaders recognize climate change as a risk to growth, which is a positive sign.
Businesses are innovating and investing in energy efficiency and low-carbon development, which is encouraging.
Innovations like electric cars are already helping to reduce fossil fuel dependence.
And society is raising awareness, highlighting personal and community responsibilities in preventing climate change.
To change consumption habits, understanding and offsetting our carbon footprint is essential.
It's a complex issue, but every step counts in the fight against climate change.